Welcome to the Strength in Business podcast, which is all about maximizing your impact by implementing a powerful marketing system that will help you perform at your highest level. And now, here is your host, Chris Rock.
This is the Strength in Business podcast. My name is Chris Rock, and today's topic is when business meets fiction. I'm going to share with you my personal journey today, and it has to do with the fact that about a couple of weeks ago, I published my very first fiction book. I've written a few business books over the past 2 decades, but this is something very, very special to me as it's my very first fiction book. I'm going to share some adventures, how I went about it, what happened during the creation process, and also some of the similarities, the commonalities between writing business and writing a fiction. Now, for those of you tuning in for the very first time, first of all, welcome. And second of all, I like to point out that I do these recordings based on the blog posts that you can find on strengthinbusiness.com. So for those of you who also want to have the written format, maybe you want to download them as a PDF, use certain parts of them, use the entire thing, whatever you find valuable, simply hop over to strengthinbusiness.com/blog and find the written formats there. So let's hit it. Today's session, when business meets fiction. A couple of weeks ago, I published my first fiction book. It's been a magical adventure, bar none. Although I've written several business books over the past 2 decades, creating the mystical and galactic pieces that are part of Spiritual Harvest, that's the title, has been a blast. What led me down this path? How is writing a fiction book different from publishing business-related insights? First things first. Spiritual Harvest is a collection of stories and poems inspired by the quantum. The book includes more than 50 exclusive pieces that haven't been published elsewhere. For those of you who want to have a quick taste of my poems and short stories, I invite you to jump over to the decentralized Hive blockchain and use the handle Chris Rock. You will find some of my pieces there. So at Hive and simply look for Chris Rock. As I mentioned in the introduction of my book, Spiritual Harvest, I wrote my first story at the age of 7. After that, my gift lay dormant for several decades until September 2022, when I crafted my first poem. Since then, I've written over 200 poems and short stories. Some of these creative pieces are included in the book. Others, such as the fiction series The War on Sirius B, are waiting for a proper director to be turned into a movie or 3D video animation. Fiction versus nonfiction. What a beautiful and mystical ride it has been to put together all the creative pieces that are now part of Spiritual Harvest. It's been a wonderful journey into the depths of my soul, a self-discovery trip par excellence. This book helped me remember who I am and reactivate many components of myself by connecting to my innate intelligence. I continue this path and it's so rewarding, thus pulling back the layers of the ego while enabling the trifecta, brain, heart, and gut to stay balanced and in coherence. I witnessed a lot of similarities between the creation process of Spiritual Harvest and the German edition of my business book about podcasting, Die Podcasting Goldgrube, which became an Amazon bestseller. It took me only 5 days to write the podcasting book, but that's not where the commonality lies, as it required several months to create the stories and poems that are included in my fiction book. The way I've written the podcasting book aka the way the information flooded my senses, which I now know happened by intuitively tapping into the quantum field, is where it's at. I was the vessel for the information. I received a quote-unquote massive download, for lack of better words. Writing the business books, except the one mentioned previously, was more of a mechanical job. I would sit down and write from experience. It was a logical process, guided almost entirely by the left brain. Today, I'd say it was more of a mental push strategy rather than letting the inner wisdom guide me. I wasn't in a state of flow, although my mind tricked me into thinking I was. Quite the opposite is true for the podcasting book and my newly released fiction book. I remember sitting down in front of my laptop at 8 a.m. and starting to type at my podcasting book. I would go on writing until 4 or 5 p.m. without breakfast or lunch. I would get up briefly to go to the bathroom and have a glass of water, but that was about it. This writing pattern continued for 5 consecutive days, after which my book was done. I was in awe as I could barely remember how everything came together. The power of stillness. Some of us meditate, others practice yoga, go for long walks, hitchhike, or do some other type of activities to quiet the mind. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of having a clear mind. Now, while trying to quote-unquote empty the mind can cause mayhem and increase the power of the ego, reconnecting with the heart enables us to tap into the creative frequencies and vibrations effortlessly. Amazing things emerge from stillness. We are powerful beyond imagination when we're in a total state of flow. I'm grateful for bringing the gift of writing stories and poems back into my life. Only when we follow our inner compass do we realize how much has atrophied inside of us. Bringing those parts back to life is the real treasure hunt. This is when you finally understand, yes, that's not a typo in this text, and that's not a misspelling. When you finally understand the deep meaning of the proverb, all the answers are within you. The moment this imprint touches you on a cellular level, the shift is imminent and there's no going back. Invest time into getting to know yourself. It's the most precious adventure you will undertake and the best part of life on this beautiful blue planet we call Earth, as there is no one else that can do it for you except you. I invite you on a deep dive beyond the realms of your physical and electric light body to uncover your amazing gifts. We all have them. The question is, are you brave enough to bring them forth and shine your light? Grab a copy of my fiction book, Spiritual Harvest, and enjoy the majestic journey into the depths of the quantum. The book is available on Amazon. Now, as always, back to you. I'd love to know your thoughts on Spiritual Harvest. So if you've read it, if you picked a copy of it, let me know what story, short story, what poem resonated most with you. I'd absolutely love to know your thoughts, and you can reach out to me on the decentralized blockchain-based networks such as Hive, obviously, or Minds. Simply use the handle Chris Rock. Now, as always, I like to leave you with a main takeaway. And today's main takeaway will be the following. And I'll repeat this because it's so important. Invest time into getting to know yourself. It's the most precious adventure you will undertake and the best part of life on this beautiful blue planet we call Earth, our home, as there is no one else that can do it for you except you. I invite you on a deep dive beyond the realms of your physical and electric light body to uncover your amazing gifts, because you have them. We all have them. And therefore, I'll leave you with this question. Are you brave enough to bring them forth, to bring all your amazing gifts forth and shine your light? Thanks for listening. Thank you for your loyalty. I'll catch up with you in the next episode. Happy marketing, and remember to always play to your strengths.
Thank you for listening to the Strength in Business podcast. Submit your questions on strengthinbusiness.com and follow Chris on Twitter at Chris Rock. That's KRISZROKK.